Alright, I guess no intro here. I think I left the scene on the wrong starting point. So, okay, that's fine. Once in a while, an oopsie is okay. Okay, I gotta get these plants, these clusters of plants finished up. Maybe make like five in total, and then have the safe room randomly spawn them around the map. Alright, that's what we're gonna do. Nice and simple. Basic start. What do we got here? It's a spatial node 3D node. Very basic. Okay, fair enough. I might actually want to maybe boost my microphone volume just a bit. 1 second. Okay, that might be a little bit better. Right. Okay, let's get the ball rolling. So this is Possessed Plant Formation 3. Maybe this one is going to be a simple one. Let's see if we can do something like basic soil. Right, and we're gonna drop it under the ground level. Might need to create a couple more of these. And then this is Possessed Plant 01. Static body is technically still here. Interesting. This seems like a really low poly static body. Collision shape. Yeah, sure. That's fine. I think that should be okay. All right. All right, that's a TRES file. I feel like we might have to make our own scene scatter tool, but it would have to be one that that works from the selection here. You know, Vishal, welcome back. Go. Hey, folks, welcome back. Okay, so this is gonna be formation 3. This goes to objects, or locations, which I think is still in objects. Locations, silo, dorm, safe room. Okay. Possessed plant formation. Yeah, okay. It's objects, locations, safe room, yada, yada, yada. There we go. There we go. in the 2 weeks where you're just not streaming or not working on the games as well? I've done primarily just writing, because that is something that I just can't really stream, because it's something that I have to really just immerse myself in. So it's literally going to be the most boring stream ever. It's just going to be me in silence in front of the blank document, Word document, and then, all you have to entertain yourself with are my spelling mistakes. So not exactly streamable type of content. But yeah, I've worked out, I figured out what kind of story I'm gonna tell for the main character perspective. I've already known what the story is about for the backstory of the bunker. This is the story that you unravel, but you also have the main character, and if you have a main character without a story, it's kind of difficult to motivate why they are going through literally like mountains and mountains of challenges and strife and shit and everything. So in order to make it motivational, so that there's a reason behind the character's actions, I had to figure out a story for the main character. And I figured I'll land on the good old reuniting with the family uh, type of story. It's gonna be a journey, and yeah, it's a pretty good starting point for if you want something solid, because it taps into one of the basic instincts. And one of the biggest challenges is motivating the main character to stay and persist and keep going through all this shit. The main question is, why doesn't the character just stop, turn around, and fucking leave? What is stopping them from doing that? And there's very few motivations that you can really put in, aside from like reuniting with family. If you have like a really interesting, strong character type, they could be just like they could literally just be so persistent or so stubborn to prove their point that they could just have a sheer willpower to keep going. But that's a different kind of story. That's always impressing me. Well, thanks, appreciate it. At least there's some value in these projects from my end. Some of the assets are coming from two gentlemen helping me out with just the sheer bulk of the 3D models, Dimitar and Antoine. So, you know, partial credit goes to them as well. I had the Clover, right? Clover. No, either I misspelled it or it's something else. Floor leaves. Okay. Oh yes. Man, these floor leaves look like what is it? They look like frog eggs. I think it's the shading all around it. Like Resident Evil. Yeah, Resident Evil 7, the entire motivation for the player or for the character to just stay and endure it all is his promise to reunite with his family. And that's a very powerful motivation to give to a main character. You can literally just have them go through all sorts of ungodly tortures, and they will endure. Do you have any tips and tricks on level design? Honestly, I've looked at some documents on level design, and a lot of it seems to be very commercial game driven. Like it's almost a formula by this point. My level design is inherently tied to the story. So whatever the story I'm trying to tell, and whatever main obstacles the character has to undergo, the level design tends to focus around that. And on that front, there's still a lot of figuring out that I'm doing as I go along. have to obscure some of these edges. But yeah, I think level design is just universally challenging because you have to think of interesting stuff for the player to do. I tend to tie in the interesting stuff for the player to do to the story and the objectives. Okay, so this is Possess Plant Formation 3. Nice. And it's relatively elevated from the ground. I think that should do it. Okay, well, we'll test it with various elevations. I think I might want to keep this relatively high, though. Like this. Okay, so that's 3. Let's go 4. Foundation. Nope. Foundation random. Sure. Nice. I think I'll do a simple one here as well. There we go. So challenging to have all aspects cohesive, especially with the story involved. Well, so first of all, something that I've noticed is that there's no way I can do this all in one go. Like I can't do this non-stop for months and months and months on end, because the ideas just run dry. There's absolutely nothing that I can do about it. Well, there is something I can do about it, and that is to take a fucking break. That's the only thing that allows me to get out of the state of, oh, I need to make progress, but I have no ideas. So great. Like, what am I going to do with this? So the most recent break that I took, that I'm hopefully just coming back from now, is the issue of the level design, as you've inquired, in the scope of, like, where's the player supposed to go? And why is the player supposed to go there specifically? And the most recent idea is that I just got is the effective introduction. Like the first 15 minutes of the gameplay is the most important, and that's where you need to, just like in the film, in the movie, you need to lay down the main problem, exposition, and the main character goal, and the main character's obstacle. Within the first 15 minutes, you have to lay that down. And I figured I can start this game by having the main character arrive on a location of a survival camp, only to find it abandoned. But within the first 15 minutes of arriving to it, they discover the immediate goal, which is there's a refugee encampment up in the mountains. They're actually told about it, so that sets a strong next destination where they need to go. And it also introduces the first exposure to the common enemy type the player is going to be encountering, and everything is presented in a relatively like high octane environment, high pace presentation, so that right from the get-go you're hooked on the most important parts, and then after that, it's smooth sailing on the next obstacle, and then the next obstacle, and then the next obstacle. It's just a series of obstacles and resolutions. So the part that I struggled with is the presentation part. How to make it. There's the what I have to say, and there's the how to do it effectively. And the how to do it effectively part is what I've been kind of stuck on creatively. So it involves what is the interesting locale where we can get the exposition up and running and tell the player about their goal. What should be the series of events that leads to the player discovering establishing their main goal, stuff like that, the questions like that. And I had to take a break to let my brain kind of decompress from the existing stuff in order to come up with those new ideas. And the stuff I've been doing in the meantime is, watch some movies, play some games that are on my long list of games I bought and haven't played yet. Um, absorbing other media helps a lot. Okay. Large leaf plant. I need to get some more of these plants. Started reading some books as well. Antoine, welcome back. I've also started, not started, but I've been thinking a lot about my particular predicament here in Canada, and I think I'm actually gonna move out. Not to Alberta as initially suggested, but I think I'm gonna move out back to Europe, back to Belarus. My brother is currently out on a scouting mission, so to speak. He's currently overseas. We left a countryside house in Belarus as like a just in case if shit hits the fan, so we have something to come back to. And because it's because it's Europe, because it's Belarus, it's like what, $100 a year for property tax. I shit you not. So we left something there just in case, and my dad's been over there doing repairs and maintenance and kind of revamping stuff and updating stuff. Sadly, all the repairs that we had to do, that we had hired someone to do, for the past, I think, 5 or 10 years, had to be all scrapped and redone by hand. It's one of those, like, if you want to get shit done, you got to do it yourself type things. So we replaced the leaky roof. We like repoured the concrete floor slabs, added some reinforcements and rebars and stuff. So like major repairs. And my brother flew overseas last month. He's still over there at the moment, and he's kind of scouting the place out as a potential place of life, and he likes it. First of all, he says the food is really good, which I'm always for delicious food. The food is affordable, and I started looking at some properties, what's available, and man, you can find like a nice 5-acre thing for $3,000. $3,000. 5 acres, $3,000. You're gonna pay like 50,000 in Canada for 5 acres, dude. The hell with this country. I kid you not. I was sold. I think I'm just gonna get that. I'm gonna get myself a nice plot of land. And like there's no permits, and then it's really really cheap when it comes to property tax. So honestly, I think I'm set. I think I'm just gonna. Well, I don't even think. I've already started selling my crap. I sold the embroidery machine. Managed to recoup some costs. it's kind of a quick turnaround. I only had it for about a year. But you know what? I've looked around on AliExpress and I can find a slightly smaller version for like under 1,000. And if I really need to, if I really want to, you know, once I settle down, I want to continue doing, let's say, like embroidery, merchandise for my games. I can always just get a machine again. It's actually cheaper to just sell this one here and then order a new one to be delivered there. Like eons cheaper. Don't leave prison. I mean Canada. Yeah, that's sounds about right. So that's basically the state of affairs. Um, yep. I have a particular plan of action. So right now I'm selling any crap that I can't take with me. We are generally looking at maybe getting doing something that our neighbors had done a little while ago. They also came to Canada, I think about maybe 10 years ago, and they lived long enough and they said, you know what, screw this. They just bought themselves or rented or did something. Big shipping container. They loaded all their crap and then just left. And we're kind of looking at it. It's like, yeah, that's the exit strategy. Um, so it's still going to be kind of off-gridish because it's basically going to be an empty plot of land. Where like I just need space. I just need a lot of empty space um to build out whatever the heck I want. And I want to do a whole bunch of stuff. I want to do a pavilion for doing like green screen animations and experiment with that for filmmaking. I want to do maybe a separate space for mocap, motion capture for video game stuff. I've I've watched a YouTube video of another game studio who had actually spent, I think, $15,000 or $20,000 on a motion capture suit setup. Now, it's not a Rococo type deal where it has a bunch of sensors where it just reads the relative position because there's a lot of drift that happens with those. But Rococo is like $5,000. There's another system that uses absolute coordinate system that has like I think 15 or 20 cameras all looking into the playfield, and then you calibrate all of the cameras to compensate for the positioning in FOV, and then you just wear the suit with multiple colored light up markers, and then the quality of motion capture that came out of that system, oh man, just absolutely beautiful. And it can track multiple actors, can track props. Now the only problem is the price. I think it was like 30,000 or 50,000. It's very expensive. But that kind of makes me think if I should I don't know, maybe get into mathematics and figure out how such a system works. Maybe experiment with some webcams, like get two identical webcams and then play around with computer vision to figure out matrices, just for the sake of figuring it out. That would be kind of interesting. Okay, foundation. So mocap space, I think, would be very nice. What else? Bunch of greenhouses. Want to play around with that. Grow some crops. Grow some greens. You know, chicken coop. Nobody's canceling that. I want to have a shop where I can set up all my CNC stuff and then continue building whatever I want to build. Ooh, we don't want that. We want soil. And of course, a house. That's my immediate plan. So all the same stuff I wanted to do here, except it's just not going to be here. Less restrictions on creation. Well, yeah, I mean, nobody's breathing down your neck on what you can and can't build on your own property. Just do whatever. Stuff, I gotta tell you, stuff like this makes me wonder how free is the land of the free, really? Just makes me kind of question it. So whereabouts you planning to move? Well, Belarus is a pretty small country. You can cover border to border in about 3 hours, right? Whereas Ontario, you could be driving for 7 hours straight, you'll still be in Ontario. So there's plenty of properties. There's quite a lot of stuff, especially with like feuding neighbors. Possessed plant. It's incredible how many people fled USSR to places like Canada. Well, right after the breakup of Soviet Union, there was basically a power vacuum and a whole lot of uncertainty. Um, Something my dad tells me is that the Belarusian front has no organized crime. And allegedly, there's no legal papers or any sort of record of that anywhere. You won't find it anywhere. But allegedly, the quote unquote, well, the president of Belarus basically got in with the KGB, and they basically gave an ultimatum to any organized crime: either you get the fuck out, or we will literally kill you. So, you know, imagine running an organized crime gig, and then the president basically colludes with the fucking KGB and says, "Yeah, this is your one and only warning." And apparently, that's what caused the well, according to my dad, that's what caused the organized crime to basically drop to barely anything. Um, the problem is that like when we left, it was still in the middle of that turmoil, and there was quite a lot of shenanigans happening. I don't know how much the West would be covering news like that, but bombs would explode on what is it, the subway stations, and there's like suicide bombers and stuff like that. So a lot of really sketchy stuff, and we kind of and there was a lot of unfriendliness to, let's say, if you're running a business, there will be a lot of like, pay us money and get quote unquote protection, right? And I don't know, I assume that that's the organized crime that they've ended up dealing with, but just like Canada, when we arrived 20 years ago, apparently, according to my dad and my brother, who's currently over there, it's like night and day. It's a totally different country from when we left, when we arrived. And same thing with Canada. Um, it is a totally different place from when we just arrived. And it was a beautiful, beautiful country. I wonder if the world's ever gonna learn what happens when you give liberals power, any power. 1,200 kilometers from Hungary, you'll pay a visit. Hell yeah, I'm down. That'll be fun. Dimitar's also right around the corner. Get the gang together. One particular thing that I want to address is I actually want to get post-secondary education. There is no way in hell I can do that here. without incurring basically crippling student debt. No. I'm looking at programs. Specifically, I'm interested in the embedded systems design, embedded systems programming. So this is something that I'm already experimenting with, and I have been for a couple of years. But it's design of music hardware, design of synthesizers, design of like microcontroller based systems. The problem, like audio amplifiers, mixers, that sort of stuff. So designing circuits for that. The issue that I find is it's very difficult for me to get into the formulas. There's a particular amount of background that I need to have, and I'm having trouble learning it on my own. So what I figured I can do is do some prep courses and actually attend college or technically university, Polytechnical University in Belarus, which costs anywhere from like $5,000 to $8,000 for the full year program, like multi-year program. Compare that to $50,000, $60,000 in Canada, and I'm thinking like, there's no way. Like, there's no way. There's no way I'm going to be subjecting myself to lifelong debt. I wonder how difficult quality of education is. Well, when we arrived, I remember distinctly that in grade 11 high school in Canada, we were covering the mathematical concepts of grade 7 in Belarus. So it was that far behind. And when you start reading up on how they're always lowering the bar, right? Always lowering bar for the sake of inclusivity, quote unquote, lower the bar, you're going to increase the passing grade. Meanwhile, the average IQ of the country falls a couple of digits, as George Carlin had said once. And you suddenly get to the point when, in Canada, you're doing classes that other countries have done grades and grades ago. So also, from what I understand, the education level is high enough for Chinese students to be taking educational visas in order to travel to Russia and get their education there. If the Chinese are doing it, needless to say, I would imagine that the quality of education is pretty damn high. But the only problem is that it's not recognized in any of the UN countries. So from that perspective, you have the quality versus recognition, right? But to be completely honest, in my case, I don't care about recognition of my education, because everything that I've been studying because I need it for my own ventures and my own projects, not because I'm looking for like a position in some sort of a company. That's just generally my approach to it. A lot of Chinese students come to Canada and USA too. That is true. If you get Canadian education, then you can work in UN countries. They usually excel in all the subjects because they're so far ahead of the curve, which doesn't really help when you stay around for a while and then the lower education level catches up to you because you haven't really progressed or advanced unless you've been doing it on your own time. So yeah, that's just generally the spiel. My buddy, he's from Hong Kong. He actually ended up moving back. He left his folks in Canada, but ended up moving back to Hong Kong and opened up a barber shop, and now he's like working out and making bank over there. So folks are leaving by the droves, man. I think I've seen the last video released by Pierre Polivier revealed that there's 200,000 Canadians leaving Canada, which is more than native like Canadians Canadian-borns coming into Canada. So that's concerning. Is that a quite high poly model you're adding on top? We'll see. I mean, that's just the collision shape. Well, actually, no. That is the model. Um, should be okay. We'll see. We can hyper optimize it later. Actually, I think I have an idea for what I can do here. Bunker kit. Floor deform. Ooh. Okay, maybe not this one. I really don't understand the end game goal with USA-Canada politics. Well, it's not just USA and Canada. It's France, it's Germany, it's pretty much every country that is a member of UN right now. To be completely honest, maybe not even part of the UN because Brexit's not part of UN anymore, right? Britain, right? UK, they're not a part of the UN, but they're kind of going through the same shenanigans. So, I mean, who stands to gain from it? I think the end goal is just to wash out anyone who is like a native British or native Canadian, Native American. And I mean Native American as in born in America. So, you know, true multiculturalism. No exceptions, whether you like it or not. Floor large. These are pretty big chunks. Floor small. Yes, there we go. UN, not EU. Right. There we go. Hey. All I have to do is replace the base GLTF. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna end up doing. Okay, let's get some rebar. That is an OBJ file. That is going to be hidden by everything, so not bad, man. To be honest, everything that I've done here with these bunker pieces kind of makes me think that putting together Atomicon is actually going to be fairly straightforward. Just one piece of rebar holding up this entire thing, holding out for dear life. All right, I think we have a rebar grid here we can use. There we go. Yeah, that's fine. Doesn't have to be super pretty. Right, and let's get possessed plant. Beautiful. That bounding box doesn't annoy me. Not really. Bounding box of which prop? There we go. Beautiful. All right. So this is floor plant. Floor leaves. I think I need to make a more circular version of this so that it's easier to sink it into the ground. Just gonna highlight that. There we go. It's all about cleverly hiding the whoopsies. Kind of attached to this project. The more I'm working on it, the more I am as well. So that's just that much more motivation to finish it. At least the vision is growing with it as well. It's not really staying still as a quick one-off game jam type of collect 8 pages project. Okay, so that's 6. Shall we do 7? Sure. Let's do a small one. Whoops. I said a small one. Yeah. And just going to be like 1. Thought about cutscenes. I'm probably going to stick to doing in-game cutscenes or in-game animated events in the same style as the Pry animation or inspection animation when you pick up the radio locator. I find those to be a lot more interesting than pre-rendered cutscenes. Sync that in. I think I want to do this to hide the edges. Beautiful. So just one single tiny plant. If we go anywhere between 1 or between 3 and 5 plants, then we have access now. So we can create the algorithm now. Okay, so what do we got to do? So we have to make the safe room generate 3 to 5 of these locations. Then, when the player destroys the plant, it needs to, I think we're going to base it, make it event-based. So upon destruction, it will send a function call to the safe room to account for one plant being destroyed, which means when the plants are created, they would have to communicate with the safe room to tell it how many plants there are. I think that's the easiest way to do it. Otherwise, we'd have to actively talk to all the foliage clusters and check how many plants have been destroyed. Scalability is fascinating. Yeah, trying to reuse the assets as much as possible. Do you have a drawing prompt? A drawing prompt this hour? A drawing prompt? Or what, drawing period? Like I'm going to be drawing something? And then follow you. Fan of achievements because it keeps players motivated, though never been one for them. Yeah, I never played the game for achievements, but every game I've ever pushed out to Steam, there's always going to be people asking, are there going to be achievements? You gonna put achievements here, brah? So many achievement whores. Nice. Okay, so close, 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 close. Let's have it create the pieces first, and then we'll worry about doing. There we go. Then we'll worry about doing accounting. Okay, you go away. Save it up. Safe room. So I guess we can just attach a script here. Safe room. Objects. Locations. Scripts. locations. There we go. Create the safe room. All right. So we need anywhere between 3 and 5 of these clusters. I guess we can just do it in the ready function. We have to call deferred this because it's not going to let us instance within the same ready frame. Create clusters. Call deferred. There we go. All right. We are going to preload the formations like that. Beautiful. We're gonna shuffle it. Shuffle. Or X in. I guess we need to generate the random number. Can we can do rand I range between 3 and 5. And this is only going to be generated once, right? Yeah, just to be safe, let's just make it here. All right, so we're going to generate number between 3 and 5, and then loop through that number. Var new cluster. We're going to do what? If we shuffle it, we can do X. We can use X to access the shuffled item. Instantiate it. Yep. Next, we need to add it to the level. How are we going to be adding it? So we can take the center of the room. Take the center of the room, and then there has to be some sort of a minimum and a maximum range within which we can spawn these clusters. So, interesting. Can we do some sort of an indicator? CSG box, CSG torus. So outer radius, inner radius. Okay, so let's say it's 40 and then 41. Now, if I were to create, let's see, radius minimum. This is going to be only for visual. And if I were to create a node 3D and then tell it to offset on the x-axis by 41, that's rotation. Ah, okay. That's perfect. So we can use this for visual presentation, visual feedback, in which means we can make that tool into a script. What does call deferred do? It waits one single frame before running a function. So you may notice that sometimes you can't instantiate something inside of the ready function, and it will complain that can't instantiate something or can't add it to as a child because other children that already are there haven't had a chance to run their ready function yet. So it's not going to let you add it as a child of itself. So call deferred allows you to wait one frame before it will run the function. Like it's like a delay by one single render frame. Let me get 16, 32, 16 is fine. Okay. So this is radius minimum. I'm going to give it a material. I think that's fine. We might have to add these nodes to every safe room. I guess that's part of the deal. Let's do vertex color. Not vertex color, albedo color. And it's going to go from orange. And then we're going to make a duplicate. This is radius max. This is going to be make unique. This is going to be red. Okay. So let's do 60 and then 61. So this is going to be a visual aid to show us between which range of distances this object, this safe room, is going to be spawning our clusters. Okay. Now, we want this to be a visual aid. So I'm going to place it up here. Amazing environment design. I really like how it's turned out. Thank you. I have a slightly more ambitious vision for it. So hopefully we'll be able to reach it. Let's get in here. So we don't want this running. We're going to turn this into a tool script so that we can adjust the ranges hopefully without instancing anything. So we're going to do if engine is editor hint is false. This will detect if this is being executed as a part of the editor script or as a part of the game script. And then we're going to turn this to a tool script, and that should allow us to run it in the editor. Okay, so let's start with export var min radius. Let's do 41. Export var max. Actually, no, let's do radius range. Let's do 30. Cool. And what we're going to do here, we're going to say func process if engine is editor hint. So only run this in the editor. We're going to talk to radius minimum dot inner radius is going to be minimum radius. And Control Shift D. Outer radius is this plus 1. Okay, now the radius maximum is going to have the same treatment, except we're going to also add the range to it. Like that. And then when we go here, we should be able to adjust this. It should work. Might require us to close. Whoops, not what I want to do. Not what I want to do. Safe room 2. Alright, so I think now it should. Yeah, there we go. Nice. That's the minimum radius. And then this is radius range, except it doesn't seem to be affecting the other one. That would make sense because got to make sure we talk to the right node. Beautiful. God knows what you have in mind for Atomicon. Dude, I can't flip and wait. Okay, we can't make this negative. We should make it export range 0. Well, let's do 1, 2, I guess 100 is okay. And then this, same thing, 0 or 1. Let's do 10. Nah, that's fine. Let's do 1 to 100. Okay, so that should prevent us from going too small. There we go. So now we'll be able to establish the range. And this zone here is going to be the zone within which these clusters are going to spawn in. And yeah, that's cool. So we're going to say that these two elements have to be hidden only when the game runs. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. All right, so go back to the level. Alrighty. So that works. And now we have a visual feedback to see how the ranges should work. Beautiful. Perfect. That should be okay. We're only going to have about maybe 3 or 5 of these, so I think the range should be reasonable enough. Okay, so let's get back here. So it creates the clusters. We instantiate a piece. And what do we need to do? We need to perform a test. We need to make sure that if we create this cluster, it is not going to overlap with anything. It's not going to overlap with anything. How can we do that? Well, we can perform... We can perform a shape cast. If it collides with the tree, we can move that tree out of the way. Just like dunk it into the ground. If it collides with a building, then we just retry and see if we can find a different element. Make the material unshaded. Yeah, sure. It's not a huge problem, to be honest. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So let's have it just create the element first. Okay, so we instantiate. Then we need to find a random spot around us. Okay, so let's do destination X, sign what? So we need a random angle. So var rand angle. Actually, no, we can't do a random angle because there's a chance 2 of these clusters could spawn in the same place. We need to take 360 degrees and we need to segment it. We need to segment it into 3 to 5 slots, but then they're going to be evenly spaced. Is that going to be a problem even? Maybe not. Okay, so let's do this. Let's say angle is going to be 360 degrees, or I guess in our case we can just do pi times 2 divided by however many slots we decided to go with. That's going to give us a single slot, basically. And then we're going to say angle times x, because we're looping through how many islands we're creating, angle times x. And this is going to create... oh yeah, we need to multiply by distance. The distance is going to be anywhere between this and this plus this. Okay. So distance, whoop, is going to be minimum. Let's do rand f range between this and this plus this. That's the distance. We multiply it. That gives us the destination on the x-axis. Then we do the same thing with cosine, if I can spell it. Everything should be the same. And that gives us the destination x and y coordinates. I could just make this as a vector too, to be honest. Okay, there we go, destination. Next, we're going to do get tree, current scene, add child, new cluster. And then the new cluster has to take, it has to be positioned in this destination plus the global position of this safe room, because this is only an offset. And I think that should do it. I'm also thinking I'm gonna take a moment to redo the hands. I've been doing some hand modeling practice, and I think I can do a better job at making the hands than the stock one that I started with, which I'm fairly certain that the stock one was never meant to be the definitive version anyways. Okay. Now right now we're not doing any collision checks and we're not doing any raycast checks. We're just positioning the elements. Okay, well, we got something. Vector 2 and vector 3. That would make sense. That would make sense. It's a vector 3 because we are working with a 3D game. Okay, so x, y can be... might just have to do this. Y is 0, and then z is that. And then we're just gonna set the dest immediately right away. Will you redo the animations? I'm gonna try to create the model that has the same proportions as the current hands, which technically means I should be able to just bind the skeleton to the new hands and it'll just inherit the animations. Hopefully. All right, we didn't crash. That's a good sign. Save from 2. All right. Now, do we have an option to turn off, what is it? Turn off the fog and everything. Six OUY. Oh, there we go. And also draw distance. There we go. Okay. Did it do anything? I don't see it. Oh, actually, no. No. That was there before. And this, that was also there before. Okay. That is, what is this? Oh yeah, this is the initial starting point for the storage repair room, and now I'm lost. Oh. Okay, so it didn't really do anything. We have a bunch of errors. Maybe Tween can be... Man, the goddamn tweens. Initiate node cabin. 01, roof rafters modified. We have a lot of this stuff. We're going to have to re-export some of these models. Like the cabin one, which I think... Cabin 1. Is that mine or is that Antoine's? Cabin 1. No, that's mine. Okay, so we're going to have to re-export those models. Let's see. Node was modified from inside an instance, but it has vanished. Cylinder. Sudden rise in PS2 style games. I've seen people make PS2 graphics style games here and there. I want to make one myself. I've had an idea cooking for a while. It's kind of like an MMO-ish type. Imagine Silent Hill 1, but in a more open world type thing, and you can go through the stories of different characters, like play as different characters and go through their stories. I think that would be a cool concept. Okay, let's try something. So if I re-export this, is that going to fix it? We have 1,114 warnings and errors. So let's go here. I'm going to see about opening this up. Oh yeah, while I'm here, I can show you the last set of hands I've modeled. This is what I got. It's a little blocky, but it'll get the job done. Slight incremental improvements with each hand I make. So yeah, I can remodel and put something like this together again for Dreadtail. Should be fine. Okay, let's go to what are we going? We need, what do we need? Dreadtail, assets, models, locations, and cabin. Okay, so these are the cabins. Wait, really? This file was saved with the newer 4.1 version. Right. Okay, I don't think that is a good idea. Let's not do that. Let's open up with latest version. Okay. Player hands. No. Open. Dreadtail. Engine. Models. Locations. No. I don't see anything because we're supposed to be in the assets. Models. Locations. Or not. No, we're just here now. Okay. Or what? Oh, no, it was there. Losing my damn mind here. And now I lost this one. Models, locations, cabin 1. All right, so take this. This is shed 01, which is technically shed 03. Cabin 03. It's the right angle cabin, which is this one. Okay, Export GLTF. Engine models, props, locations. And this is cabins. This is cabin 03. And then Godot export, which only does visible objects, and placeholders for materials. So cabin 03 that gets exported if it decides to cooperate. In the Git version, it's only the stuff from the engine folder. Engine, yes, I have a separate repository for the assets. Okay, so 1,114 errors. If this doesn't reduce this number, then the issue's with the scene, not the GLTF file. Okay. Let's try running this. What a nice model. Approximate poly count, 6,000 by the looks of it. If I look at the scene analysis, that one is just 6,000. It's basically just rectangles. Okay. All right, so what do we got? Oh, it's still the same number. So it's not the issue with this. Okay, let's stop this. And why don't we see about opening that cabin? Don't make editable children. Okay, everything is still here. So let me try this. New export collection feature in Blender 4. 4.2 is going to be awesome. Interesting. Is that anything that the batch export plugin can't do already? No, 1014, still the same. Let me... Telephone pole was modified from an instance, but has vanished. Cabin. Okay. If I take the cabin, navigate to it. Okay. And then get rid of these. And then run the scene. Are we still going to have the same number of issues? It says instantiate. Okay, so that reduced it. So the issues with the scenes, let's try this. Cabin 03 GLB. So I'll delete this and place a new one. And that's it. Is it just a matter of redragging the new instantiated version of it? I think it might be the new GLTF importer, or whatever changes they made to the importer. It kind of messed everything up. No, still 114. Could it be that these are issues with what? Instantiate, but has vanished. Could it be that this is the auto replacer feature when you can leave suffixes to the nodes, and then Godot will automatically generate static bodies and collision shapes and everything for that, and it removes the names of those nodes. So that could be what it's complaining about. Now, I know that we have the ability to mute some of these complaints. Debug. Okay, and then we have somewhere in here. Hopefully it's going to be in here. I would imagine so. Rename the Godot for hint. Unused argument. Modified. Maybe it has the word modified. Because it doesn't really break anything. It just complains that the node with that name doesn't exist. Incompatible ternary. Unsafe cast, return value, static called an instance. Narrow conversion, empty file. On ready with export. Unused argument. Is there a hint? Instantiate. Packed scene. So it says instantiate. Floor framing. This is in cabin 1. Floor framing 001. Floor framing. Yeah, well, there's a dash call in here. So it's renaming it, and then it's complaining that it doesn't exist. Thanks, Godot. Appreciate it. There's got to be a way to disable this warning. Let me see if we can quickly search it up. Instantiate node was modified from inside an instance, but has vanished. All right, gotta go to sleep. Sounds good. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Use change type on a child node. Fixed by recreating the child. That's not helpful. Looks in TSN file with the editor. Looks like it saved the file wrong. Open this file in the editor. Right-clicked, save file. So override the TSN file. Then it was working. Went to the scene. Removed visibly notifier part. Save the changes. Don't get the error. Due to the scene being bored. Oh, great. All 1,000 of them. That's nice. Okay, hold on. So let me see. Some people are saying we can resave it. Cabin 01. Okay, so cabin Control-Shift-S. Cabin 01. Do you want to override it? Yes. Can't override scene that's still open. Son of a gun. Man. Save scene as. Which is already what it is. Okay. Save it like that. That's cabin 01. Save it to temp. Cabin 03. And then cabin 2. Save to temp. And we can get rid of the temp. All right, let's see. So 114. I'm sure this is going to be totally flawless, and there's going to be absolutely no mistakes or disastrous changes from having to do this. I have total and absolute trust that I can pull this off without breaking anything. Hey, that did fix it. Well, 7 down, 1,107 to go. Yay. Okay, alright, I guess we'll address that later. At least I know what the solution is. Now, back to this guy. Back to reality. Hope there goes gravity. I have to reanimate this whole thing. It reminded me. Where is it? Where is it? Seriously, safe room. Safe room 2. Focus. Yes, there we go. All right, so you have not done what you were supposed to do. Let's see, get tree, current scene, add child, new cluster. Did this actually run? So print, create, cluster. Cool, let's run it. All right, let's go over to the print. Output false. Oh boy. Set power. Well, that's lovely. What the heck is this? Oh, it's telling me where it's being printed. Generic powered item GD9. Generic. GD9. Print debug. Thank you, sir. At least you told me exactly where that was. You did not position the scene. Well, I'm pretty sure I did. I might have done it incorrectly, but I'm just checking if it even runs it in the first place. And for that, I need the output not to be over encumbered with all sorts of stuff. I found a solution. I figured a solution for not having to animate each and every single goddamn thing that's in the inventory. And the solution is something that I've observed in Fallout. If you watch the update video, the way Fallout handles its inventory is by organizing it into like 5 categories: weapons, aid, miscellaneous, junk, and I think that's basic, and notes or something like that. So only the items from the weapons category are the ones that the player can physically equip. So the developers for Fallout only have to animate the weapons. And aside from that, outside of like a couple of exceptions like stimpaks when you jab the needle into your veins, pretty much nothing inside of the aid category, besides jet and maybe the stimpaks, have to be animated. Okay, now Fallout deals their inventory in the list style, which makes it easy because you can categorize it easily, and the only the stuff in the category for weapons has to be animated. Because we have a grid style inventory, you can't really organize it into categories and then block off certain categories from being equipped. What I figured is I can still technically do that by color coding any item that can be placed into the hotbar with a dedicated, let's say, orangish or red style, and then I'll decorate the hotbar to match the color theme. So it's going to be a slightly orangish hotbar, and any item that can be placed into the hotbar will be slightly orange in its background, communicating to the player that you can put this into the hotbar. Only the items that you can put into the hotbar will have hand animations on them. The rest is just inventory items. And I think that's going to be my solution for that. All right, let's get over here. You. All right, we need to check this. Something entered. Oh boy. Create cluster. So that has been created. That has been created. You liar. Okay. Is it there? No. Okay. Is it there? Nope. Okay. All right. Well, now we can go explore and see what's up. Safe room. So, create cluster does execute. We instantiate the cluster. Damn it. I didn't position it. I just said variable contains destination. Why doesn't it show up? Okay, global position. All right. There we go. Stupid. All right, let's go ahead and run this again. Mm-hmm. Come on. Okay, all right. Now let's get to safe room. Oh, I see it. That's one. And then there's the second one. It is slightly underground, but that's okay. That's what the raycast is for. Or we're probably gonna have to do it. Probably gonna have to do a shape cast. There's the third one. Yeah. Okay. And then there's the fourth one. Okay, cool. Now. Oh, yeah. That high poly soil. Look at the frames. Lovely. All right. Cool. So that works. Which, by the way, I think that's the reason why the soil had a simplified convex collision shape. All these dips aren't really large enough to warrant having a separate, such a precise collision shape. That's fine. Cool. All right. So that works, except we need to improve it. So first of all, we need to place it flat on the ground. So we need to shoot a raycast. Now, the quick way of doing it would be to use the world's space state and positioning everything. But I feel like a lazy bitch. So I'm just going to add a raycast manually, and we're just going to work with this. Okay? I like having a visual feedback, honestly, when I'm doing stuff like this. Okay, so negative 100. There we go. Oh, yeah. I think that's more than enough. Cool. We can actually just leave it here. I don't think there's going to be any hills that this thing will have to climb. Maybe we'll just in case, lift it up. That is, I think, long enough. Now. We can do a raycast first for the Y position, and then a shape cast later. Or, if you position an area into, set the position in world space, and it overlaps with a bunch of stuff, do you have to wait a single frame before you can get the list of all the items that overlap the area, or is it going to give you that information immediately? Because I think you have to wait at least one physics frame for the raycast to give you the collisions, but it also has a dedicated force calculate physics to force it to calculate the collisions right then and there. Okay. Well, let's start with a raycast, I guess. That should be fine. Ah, come on. Dang it. Nice. Okay. This is a cluster array. So what are we going to do here? Var y? I guess we can just ask it. We can tell it to run the raycast right away. Force raycast update. And then we can get the collision point. I think we're just guaranteed. Collision point. Get collision point dot y. Which the problem is that we're using the global position of the safe room. We're adding to it. So we're actually going to have to do it like this. Destination on the y-axis is going to be overwritten by the location of the collision point. And that should do it. Now this still doesn't account for collisions with trees or other buildings. If it's a colliding with a tree, we can move the tree into the ether. If it's colliding with a building, we have to redo the collision check. Which means we technically could make it true random. Instead of segmenting the rotation, we could make it true random. Oh, that's lovely. And that's a perfect example of making sure that what we have collided with is the floor? Huh. Okay, well, everything can't be colliding with something. That doesn't make sense. Okay. What went wrong? Oh, yeah. If I'm not an idiot, I'm actually going to position the raycast. So, before we force it to update, cluster array dot global. We can do it local. Position. It's going to be equals to this. And then the y location has to match. So y location is going to be 40. Okay. Let's give that a try again. We do have a sandbox level where we can do these experiments and not have to wait for it to load every time. Hey, okay, so that's on the ground. That's all the way the fuck up there because it collided with a tree. Right. That's all the way over here. It's looking pretty good. We can lower the center point for that. We can also reduce the radius. That's okay. We a treehouse now, yeah. Go get that one, bitch. Good luck. What's that? You need a safe room? Better return to monkey. Okay. So, yeah, we need to make sure that it doesn't collide with... do we? Okay. So here's what we can do. We instantiate it. It has to be there for sure. Now, I think we can do a do until or do while loop. Let's see. Do while. I don't think there's a do while, but there's a while condition and then you do the stuff. So while free spot found false, while this is false, we're going to keep doing this, which is we need to add it as a child only once. Generate a random number. Random angle. Actually, this is not random angle, but this can be a random angle now. So rand amount. Let's do a random angle. That's fine. Rand f range between 0 and pi times 2. Yep. And we don't need to multiply it by x. Yes. Okay. So pick a random distance, pick a random angle, position the raycast in that point, force it to update, and then here we just kind of position the element. So here we need to check if for, that's a very weird way of spelling if, cluster ray dot is colliding, then get the collider that we're colliding with, cluster ray get collider. All right, and if collider is not null, and if collider dot is in group, and we want to make sure that we're colliding with the ground. We need the ground. So if we take a look at the level, we know that the group exists on the H terrain. No, we don't. Okay. So we can just check for the name of the node. There's only one H terrain here anyways. So I think that should be fine. Yes. Okay, so is in group, not is in group. Collider.name is H terrain. I'm sure I'm going to regret this later. If it is H terrain, then free spot found is true. Cool. Free spot found is true. Destination. Destination of the element is set. And then that's it. Okay, so I think while it is false, it's going to keep doing it. Okay, I think we should be good. I don't think we should get stuck in an infinite loop right now. Dear God, help us. Okay, all right. Go here. Well, that one's fine. That one's fine. The treehouse is gone. The treehouse of horrors. I also think that it's in a different position now. There we go. Nice. Beautiful. Okay, so all the plants are here. What's next? Well, next we need to have the safe room know how many plants need to be destroyed. Okay. Think simplest solution. Well, the safe room has created the clusters. We could just loop through the clusters and then loop through the children of the clusters. Locate a plant of each cluster, and then for every plant that we find, we just have a little counter that adds +1. Possessed plant. I think it should be in the group already. Yes, possessed plant group. Cool. Hmm. You know, I kind of wish we could have get nodes in group that can be executed on a node. Right now you have to do get tree, get nodes in group. In JavaScript and HTML, you can get any element on the page and then do query selector all, and it's going to give you all of the elements that match whatever criteria you put in, no matter how deep in the hierarchy they are, but it's going to limit it to the node, the element, HTML element on which you're performing the search. And I think that might be really useful. It is recursive, so maybe that's the reason why they don't add it to the engine. Okay, well, that's fine. As long as all of our possessed formations contain the plants in the root, we should be able to just, talk to it. Yeah, so we got to make sure that's the case. There's only 3 here. Possessed. Really excited for Atomicon. Do you have modeling courses on your website? You make it look so easy. The courses for mechanics, like for example, switches, doors, interactions, I will usually go through to create a model, and any video that has, let's see, any video that has a new prop coming in, I usually just model it inside of it. So, for example, let's see. Are we going to have the commission effect, or is it going to work right away? So, for example, if we say Atomicon, if we go to this series, which I'm going to restart this series when I resume working on Atomicon, because it's easier to just start a new project and then porting whatever I had there in Godot 4. Plus, I figured out a lot of interesting things in that project. Okay. Oh, interesting. So it doesn't. Okay, something that I'm going to add to the playlist system is a map of subjects, and they're going to be color coded. So I have it. It's already there. It's just not showing. So it should be showing. And basically, it's going to have a little color strip showcasing. Let's say if it's doing modeling, you'll see that it's got a red strip on it, which means modeling. If you're doing coding, it's going to be orange. And then you'll be able to see every video that involves modeling or coding or sound or recording or any one of those subjects. So you'll be able to say, oh, I just want to take a look at how to do modeling. Okay, so we can go junk rifle model. I mean, the name is there, but we're visual people. It's easier to see it visually. So here's a video of like me modeling the junk rifle. You can see how it goes from basic shapes all the way to what is it? All the way to this. Oh yeah, the fork for the trigger. Right. Also, being showing the current video might actually be also a good addition. Little bits and pieces I gotta add to the website. Texturing 2. Yeah, after texturing 2, you'll basically have your fully textured version of the gun. Let's see right here. There we go. And then you'll see how that gets textured. And animated too. So yeah, that's how I'm gonna try to make it as easy as possible. Okay, so possessed plants. They're all here? Yes. Okay. So they gotta be in the root of the folder or of the scene, which I think I did for all the rest of them. Yeah, yeah, and yeah. Okay, good. So that makes it a little bit easier. So we're gonna go to safe room, and we're gonna make a variable called possessed plant count 0. Okay. When we instantiate this this cluster, if we have found a suitable location for it, this is important. We're gonna have to put in the safety measure to see if we're on the 10th or 15th iteration of trying to find a spot for it and it fails, it's just gonna discard this this plant cluster entirely. So we're gonna say account for how many plants are in this cluster. So for each child in new cluster dot get children. We're going to loop through the children. We're going to check if each child dot is in group. What group? What group? The group is this group. The group that the possessed plant is inside of. Beautiful. Okay, so if it's in this group, that means it's a possessed plant. Then we are simply going to add +1. And while we are here, when we destroy the plant needs to somehow communicate that it's been destroyed to the safe room. So we can actually have the possessed plants have a variable called mySafeRoom. It's going to be equals to null. And then when we go here, mySafeRoom is going to be set to self. MySafeRoom of the each child specifically. Or actually, no. Yes. Each child is the plant itself. So we tell each child, the plant itself, that my safe room is whatever node that's running this code, which is the safe room. Cool. Okay, so what do we do next? Possessed plant, when we destroy it, it needs to talk to my safe room and communicate with it and tell it that a plant has been destroyed. So my safe room dot plant destroyed is going to be a function that will be executed in the room. We're going to copy that function and then go to the safe room and create that function. Okay, when the function is created, possessed plant count is going to be subtracted by 1. Now, when the possessed plant HP drops below or equals to 0, it will stop running, so there's no way to like keep damaging the same plant and have it continuously create continuously subtract the health. I will, however, let it produce a particle. That should be okay. Now, prevent from running damage multiple times after death. Perfect. Perfect. Let's get back here. Safe room. So this is done. That's good. And I think that should basically be it. Okay. where does that lead us? Well, that leads us to the final point, which is this sign here. The sign is what actually controls the door. And I wanted to change the system a little bit. Let me get rid of this, and let me position this at eye level. I wanted to change the system so that when the player walks up to the switch and pulls it, only then will this sign perform a check to see if all the possessed plants have been destroyed, and then give the user feedback if it's clear or if it's still caution. Now, how do we do that? Well, it has a trigger if safe is true. Okay. Interesting. Okay, we have a flashing code here. Caution on. I want it to be more event-based rather than continuously turning on and off. So let's try this. We don't need the safe variable. We can simply do get owner dot, and then we have a variable that I thought I copied, but I didn't. Safe room. Safe room. Possessed plant count. Where is it? Safe room sign. So we get that variable. We check if it is 0. Then we have open delay timer. Else, if it's not 0, it needs to launch the caution flash. Okay. Okay, that's fine. The caution flash has to flash 5 times. So let's do this. We're gonna give it a slight dramatic pause, so it's gonna start counting maybe 2 seconds. We'll have some sound effects playing in the background to indicate that something is happening. And then what's happening here? Caution light. I think we can just say this right here. Caution light gets set to 0, or clear light gets set to 0, and it's always set to 0. So maybe we'll just say that it is right here that we set it to 0. Although you only have to go through the challenge once. These plants don't really grow back. We could make them grow back. That's fine. Caution light starts at 0. When we trigger the sign, checks the parent, is the amount of possessed plants 0? If it is, open delay timer is set to 1.5 seconds. And then I kind of wanted to have 2 timers, to be honest. Let's go here. So open delay timer. Let's do safe sign delay. We're going to get a signal. Get rid of that one. Make a new signal. So when this timer finishes, that's going to make the light appear. So clear light becomes 1. Caution light becomes 0, just in case. And then we're gonna tell this timer to start. We're gonna wait 1.5 seconds, and the door open is gonna wait for 2 seconds. First the light's gonna come on, and then the door will open. Now, if it's not 0, we're gonna tell the caution flash timer to start counting. We need to tell it to flash 5 times. So caution flash count. Well, let's do 5. Okay, we're gonna say equals 5. And then here, we're gonna do if this is 0, return. So don't do anything. And then if it's not, it's gonna let it run and then subtract itself by 1. On, off, on, off, on, off. So it's got to be 6 times. Which is only 3 flashes. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right. 5 times 2. There we go. That should be okay. Caution flash timer. All right. I think that should do it. And what do we have here? Each identifier safe. Toggle true. If we toggle true, that means it's always toggling it on. So maybe we don't have it toggle. Maybe we always trigger. Let me double check this. What do you do with a drunken signer? We trigger. There's no toggle. So you know what? Let's not make our life difficult. Let's say this object only triggers. And that's it. Cool. And then in the beginning, clear light is 0, caution light is 0. Alrighty. Let's give it a test. Hopefully this is all that we need. All right, no, we have the technology. Teleport. There we go. All right. I saw that. I saw you were flashing there for a sec. Also, should really ease up on the normal there. The normal map. Oh, God. Safe room status sign. We're just gonna take this. Find the normal. The normal is... Oh, that's a shader. Okay. Nice. Good thing it doesn't have to be recompiled. Although all of the normals are going to end up being affected by this. Pull down. Okay, so caution. And then it turns off. And if I pull it again, nice. Okay. Let's say that works. So now we gotta go destroy. Beautiful. We gotta go destroy all of the plants. Military machete. Machete. Beautiful. I think I will go through with making an alternate version of this plant with the centerpiece exploded. I think that would look nice. We'll probably redo the whole plant. Okay. Alright, so that's... I think that's all of them. Yeah, we definitely need to make them exploded so that they can communicate to the player that they're destroyed. Okay, so we have to have 2 more, I believe. Well, it could be 2 more. Yeah, nice. Mm-hmm. I don't think we have true randomness seed enabled at the moment. So it's always going to create 4. And it's always going to create 4 of the same ones. Nice. Okay, so I think that's it. Maybe. It might be 5. We'll find out. Hey, nice. And look at that. The racks are random now. That's perfect. Still don't know what's happening with the light here. Oh, that's right. You guys aren't getting... It doesn't look like you guys are getting the game audio. Huh. Okay, brace your earballs. This might be loud. Oh, actually, no. I just never plugged it in into the interface. Okay, that's fine. Don't worry about it. The music just cuts out. You can't hear that. Okay, that's fine. You know what? It's been 2 hours. We're not gonna make this any longer. Let's get this wrapped up for this stream. And yeah, that's a thing that I can take off my list of things I gotta work on. Oh yeah, one more thing I want to double check is FOV, because I noticed that the games like Call of Duty have a really low FOV, like in the 50s or 60s. At least when I'm playing the campaign, that's what it looked like. And that allowed the models, the view models in the hands, not to look like they're just tiny ant hands. So we might have to do that, which means we'll probably have to readjust some animations. I did notice that I have to bring the objects really close to the camera when I'm animating them in order for them to be like at all legible. So I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna bump this down to maybe 60 or 55 FOV, and yeah, well, that's gonna make the whole world feel a lot more grander, so to speak, a lot larger. So I think that's gonna be good. All right, cool. So that's it. We'll wrap it up here. Thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate the company. We'll continue in the next one. All right, see ya, folks.